Oh. Anyways, so what function notation is it is, we'll say f of x is equal to x plus 3. And then all I have to do is say f of 5 equals. This replaces all of that. So it's saying plug in 5 for your x. So it's the same thing that it just said above, but now it's saying to go through and plug in 5. So all we do is we plug in a 5 there. So we have 5 plus 3, which is 8. So f of 5 equals 8. Nope, all you're doing is whatever it gives you, you're putting it in for x. So like if on example 1, you'll see example 1, if I said f of x equals 3x squared plus 1. And I'll move it up for you. F of x equals 3x squared plus 1, period. Find f of 0, f of negative 1, and f of 2a. Okay, 2a, that's what we're going to be plugging in. Alright, so these are 3 different problems. Alright, so the first thing is you take f of 0. This says to plug in 0 in for your x's. So you are going to go, instead of, it'll be 3, 0 squared, plus 1. All I did was I take that 0 and plug it in for the x. So we have 0 squared is 0 times 3 is 0 plus 1. So I have 1. F of negative 1. So what am I going to do with that negative 1? Put it in for my x. So I have 3 times negative 1 squared plus 1. Negative 1 squared is what? Negative 1 times negative 1? 1 times 3? 3 plus 1. So 4. So that tells me that f of negative 1 equals 4.
Why do we have to do the f of x?
Because it's a notation. So on your later on in math or when you're taking the MEP and they say what is f of negative 1, you'll know what it represents. This right there represents the whole line. So that's why we need to know that what that represents. It's expanding our mind. So f of 2a.
So it's just complicating things, kind of?
No, it's actually simplifying. It's taking out the words.
Oh, okay.
So it's taking the replace of all of this. So instead of saying what is y when x is, they just have to write f of 5. So it's just saying plug in 5 for your x value. So what are we...
You're going to have that y equals x plus 3 thing so you know what to add, right?
No, it's going to have this part. So this part is where the problem starts.
Yeah.
Yep. So now it says plug in your 2a. So where are we putting in 2a? For the x is right. So we're going to plug in we are going to plug in that 2a for our x. So we have here 2 squared is 4. So I'm bringing down that 3. I have 4a squared plus 1. Three times 4 is 12 a squared plus 1. Because this has an a squared, this is not a like term. So that's our final answer. Did you not get it?
No, I got it.
Okay. All right.
No examples?
There's 3. So we're at example 2. All right, example 2. F of x equals -4, 0, 9, 1, and 3, 7. If you have ordered points and then it says, well, what is f of 9? The 9 represents what? Your x's. So all it's asking you to do is to say what the y value is. So what's the y value? 1. So I want everyone, don't tell me what it is, but I want you guys to all think of what f of -4 is. And what is f of -4? 0. State the domain. All right. The first one, there's a couple, but the first one is x over x plus 7 is equal to g of x. All right. What can you not have when you have fractions? What can you not have on the bottom? You can't divide a number by 0. You cannot have 0 on the bottom. So you always are asking yourself, what would make this equal 0? So what would x have to be to make this 0? -7. So if it was -7 plus 7, that would be 0. So our domain would be all real numbers except x cannot equal -7. Now I will tell you the book will only say this part. However, this implies all real numbers except -7. But to me, I like to have that you know that it's all real numbers except for the -7. Yes.
So whenever we see a problem like that, you just have to find out what
Would make the bottom 0.
Okay.
Yep. So like on this one.
So you put a cross in that R or whatever.
Well, it's a not equal to. Have you ever say it again?
The R to the left.
Oh, this means all real numbers. It's how you make all real numbers. You can write out the words all real numbers, but the symbol is a line, and then like that. It's a symbol. Yep. So if we have x minus 1 and then x plus 3, what would make this 0? There's 2 numbers that would make this 0. What would make the first one 0? A 1. So that means x cannot equal 1. What would x have to be here? -3. So x cannot equal -3. So it's all real numbers except 1 and -3. Now I will tell you the book will just say that, but I want you to make sure you realize that it's all real numbers except those. Last one, and then I'll give you your assignment, is h of x is equal to 3x plus 9. What is the domain of h? First of all, is there any fractions? Is there any fractions? No. If there's no fractions, we have no restrictions. All real numbers. So don't forget what we learned yesterday. All real numbers. All right.
Does that X?
It's not an X.
Or the B.
B.
Example B, like not C. How does that equal 9?
No, G of X. Sorry. That's my fault. I squeezed it in. Sorry. All right. Your assignment, your assignment is page 119, 121. Numbers 1 through 28, odds. Make sure you show your work, and on the ones that you have to, show your work and check your work.
Wait, 1 through 27?
Well, yeah, but anyways. And number 37, you do not have to graph anything, through 43 odds. There's no graphing, so